isolation. And to help us understand data in the manner that it ought to be understood, especially because we are faculty members, members that will influence a generation of learners, it becomes critical for us to analyze data in the manner that is most appropriate. And to facilitate exactly that, we are proud to present to you this 7-day FDP. St. Paul's College Internal Quality Assurance Cell, in association with Mount Carmel College Autonomous, the Mentor Institute under UGC Paramash, organizes a 7 days FDP on data analysis using SPSS with interpretation for social sciences from 12th July 2021 to 19th July 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud privilege this afternoon to begin today's FDP. I'm Saranya Francis, Secretary IQAC, St. Paul's College, as well as Assistant Professor in the Department of Humanities. As we begin this afternoon session, before we commence with the formal event, a quick request to all our participants. Kindly stay on mute. In case you have questions, please raise your hand or communicate with us through the chat window. You will be able to communicate with the organizers directly, and your questions and concerns will be addressed immediately or as soon as the technical team is able to free itself from its commitments. I also make an ardent request to all of you to kindly keep your cell phones in mute or in places that are away from your system that doesn't interfere with your participation in the program. This is going to be an interactive session, so we will have a lot of interaction from the participants side. So it is required for us that you are completely available to us in rapt attention for you all to respond to the queries and interactive aspects of this session as facilitated by our resource person. On that note, we begin our 7 days FTP on data analysis using SPSS with interpretation for social sciences. I now invite Dr. Babu V, the IQAC coordinator from St. Paul's College, to render the welcome address. Dr. Babu, over to you.
Thank you, madam. Respected members of the management, members of Mentor Institute, delegates, good afternoon to all of you. St. Paul's College, Bengaluru, affiliated to Bengaluru University, was established in the year 2016 to provide quality education for the welfare of the society. The college is managed by the Society of St. Paul's, an international religious congregations founded by Blessed James Alvireno in Alfa, Italy on 20th August 1914. It provides a conducive atmosphere for the holistic growth of the students. Currently, the Society of St. Paul's is present in 32 countries and is engaged in the mission of providing good literature and preparing professionals for a better tomorrow. The world, as we have created it, it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. The world hates change, yet it is the only thing that has brought progress. Any change, even a change for the better, is always accompanied by drawback and discomfort. Therefore, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it. In this ever-changing world dynamic environment, the role of research in an academic institutions is significant for its sustainability and development, and it is imperative to have knowledge-driven growth based on innovations. The quest for knowledge is the basic principle behind research. The quality of research work directly translates to the quality of teaching and learning in the classroom, thereby benefiting the students, the society, and the country at large. On this line, This 7 days FDP on data analysis using SPSS with interpretation for social sciences, organized by Internal Quality Assurance Cell IQAC of St. Paul's College in association with Mount Carmel College Autonomous or Mentor Institute, provides an avenue for teaching fraternity to learn new domain of knowledge, research tools, and application that would indeed help researcher in preparing and published quality research work. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this 7 days FDP on data analysis using SPSS with interpretation for social sciences. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. John F. Kennedy. He deemed it to be a privilege to welcome our principal, Reverend Father Dr. Thomas M.J. for this 7 days FDP on data analysis using SPSS. Father, we will welcome you, Father.
Thank you, Babu.
Effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. Leadership is defined by results, not attributes. Peter F. Drucker. I take this opportunity to welcome our Vice Principal, Reverend Father Dr. Sajid Siria. Welcome you, Father. A rising tide doesn't rise people who don't have a boat. We have to build the boat for them. We have to give them the basic infrastructure to rise with the tide. I welcome our Reverend Father Administrator, Reverend Father Arugya Swami. Father, welcome you. Leadership is the ability to guide others without forcing to a directions or decision that leaves them still feeling empowered and accompanied. None of us, including me, ever do great things, but we can all do small things with a great love, and together we can do something wonderful, Mother Teresa. So it's my great joy to welcome Dr. Kavita G. Singh, Research Director, Mount Carmel College, our advisory committee member of this 7-day FDP. Hearty welcome to you, Madam. Coming together is a beginning. Staying together is a progress. Working together is a success. Henry Ford. It's my privilege to welcome Dr. Sister Arpana, Principal, Mount Carmel College Autonomous, and Dr. Suma Singh, Dean of Humanities, Mount Carmel College, as our advisory member. Welcome, both of you. I'm extremely happy to welcome my co-convener of FDP, Mrs. Saranya Francis, IQAC Secretary and the Organizing Committee member. Welcome you, Madam.
Thank you, sir.
I also take this opportunity to welcome all our IQAC members of St. Paul's College, Dr. Kanishka K, Mr. Janindraj, Mr. Nagaraj, and Mr. Vijay. Welcome you all. I extend my hearty welcome to all my fellow colleagues and admin staff of St. Paul's College and the teaching fraternity and admin staff of Mount Carmel College. Welcome you all. It's my profound honor to welcome all delegates across nation to this 7 days FDP on data analysis using SPSS with interpretation for social science. Welcome you all. You don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing and by falling over. Richard Branson. All the best. Thank you all. I remind.
Thank you, Dr. Babu, for those warm words of welcome. On that note, we proceed with this afternoon's deliberations. They say that a true leader is somebody who places everybody else's good above his own. And there is nothing else that can be truer about the person who leads us at St. Paul's College. It is my privilege and joy to welcome Reverend Father Dr. Thomas M.J., the Principal, St. Paul's College, and the President of this FDP, to render the presidential address. Over to you, Father.
Thank you, Saranya. Respected dignitaries, patrons of the FDP, Father Dr. Sajid Suriak, Vice Principal, and Administrator Father Arugusami of St. Paul's College, members of the Advisory Committee, Sister Dr. Arpana, Principal, and Dr. Kavita G. Singh, Research Director, Mount Carmel College, Autonomous, Bengaluru, FTP conveners Dr. Babu V. and Ms. Saranya Francis, members of the organizing committee, faculty members, trainers, research scholars, entrepreneurs, and business professionals. A very warm and pleasant afternoon to everyone. Now, I would like to once again welcome all our resource persons. Today we have this afternoon Dr. Joshua Selvakumar, and for the upcoming days we have Dr. Anil Babar, Dr. Arti R, Dr. P. Satish, Dr. K. Asrar Ahmed, Dr. Chandragala, and all our dear participants. Once again, a warm welcome to this 7-day National Virtual Faculty Development Program. And I want to thank you all for joining us from across the country. I also like to appreciate the IQAC of St. Paul's College for organizing this virtual national seminar, FDP, in association with Mount Carmel College Autonomous, on a very relevant and important topic, data analysis using SPSS with interpretation for social sciences. We all understand the importance of FDPs such as these because we are people who impart knowledge to our students. And in order to do that, we should be knowledgeable first and should have the resources with us. There is a constant need and urgency to catch up with the fast changes that happen around us if we have to stay relevant as teachers and as professionals. As we know, this FDP is on SPSS, and we have chosen this topic because of the popularity of SPSS within both academic and business circles, making it the most widely used package of its type. SPSS is also a versatile package that allows many different types of analysis. I'm sure this FDP will provide an avenue for the participants to learn new domains of knowledge, research tools, and applications using SPSS that would indeed help researchers in preparing and publishing quality research work. As the role of the research in an academic institution is significant for its sustainability and development, it is imperative to have knowledge-driven growth based on innovation. And it goes without saying that the quality of research work directly translates to the quality of teaching and learning in the classroom, thereby benefiting the students, society, and the country. We have several goals to achieve during the coming 7 days, like learning how to use the statistical package for the social sciences, the SPSS, for data analysis, how SPSS can be used to understand and interpret the results of research, the meaning of the data analysis, as well as how a researcher would write these interpretations and present the results, etc. And I'm sure our resource persons will take us through these steps involved and help us understand and perform SPSS tools better. For St. Paul's College, Bengaluru, and Mount Carmel College, Bengaluru, it's our joy and privilege to have you all with us for this FDP. And I'd like to thank you all for the same. And I'm sure your active participation will produce the desired results during these days and at the end of this 7-day FDP. I wish you all an exciting and enriching day today and all the coming 7 days and wonderful interaction. Thank you all and have a pleasant afternoon.
Thank you, Father Thomas. I'm confident that our participants are as enthusiastic and as eager to lap up the information that is going to be presented to us in front of by the dignitaries that are going to line up for the same. As we move on with this afternoon's session, I find great joy in having the opportunity to introduce someone as prolific as Dr. J. Joshua Selvakumar, our resource person for today. Dr. J. Joshua Selvakumar is an associate professor with an MBA and MPhil and PhD, whose interests range from integrated marketing communications to market research, services marketing, consumer behavior, and branding. And for somebody who started her career as a market research executive, I know the importance that Dr. Joshua's work has on the field of marketing itself and on consumer behavior at large. Dr. Joshua Selvakumar is an associate professor at PhD Institute of Management, Coimbatore. He is presently the coordinator for the MBA full-time program of Anna University at PSGIM. They serve as the center head for PSD Center for Advertising and Communication for over a decade. He holds a doctorate degree from Anna University, Chennai in the area of integrated marketing communication. His portfolio at PSG Center for Advertising and Communication include media planning, copywriting, digital marketing, and public relations. He is a member of the Advertising Association of Coimbatore. His research has predominantly focused on the performance and brand outcomes of integrating marketing communications in various sectors and is also involved in extensive research in the field of advertising and media. Dr. Joshua teaches courses at PSG Institute of Management that build on his research interest and is actively involved in consultancy work with companies in Coimbatore and Tirupur in brand building, SEO and digital marketing, as well as other areas of interest. In his academic career, spanning over more than 16 years, Professor Joshua has participated and presented research papers at national and international conference and also holds nearly 30 article publications in leading journals to his credit. Professor Joshua has published a monograph with Lambert Academic Publishing Germany titled Dimensions of Integrated Marketing Communication. He served the industry with companies such as TTK Healthcare, Mahindra & Mahindra, and Excel International in Doha, Qatar. This industry and academic experience has helped him to bring innovations in teaching methodology and to convey the practical aspects of the course effectively. He serves as member of the Affiliation Committee and Board of Studies for Management Schools, nominated by Anna University, Chennai. He is an adjunct faculty at University of Toledo, USA. He has visited a number of leading universities abroad and is actively engaged in collaborative research. Dr. Joshua, it's an absolute privilege to be having you with us this afternoon, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Saranya, madam. Yeah. First of all, let me thank the organizers for the Dr. Thomas Principal, Vice Principal, faculty members, IQAC coordinators, and all the other faculty who are there in this meeting, and the participants. Of course, we have a large number of them today. Was not expecting that. Quite a large. When Dr. Babu said over 1,500 participants, I was taken aback. Okay, anyway, nice to see the interest in the area of research. Hope I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes,
Babu,
sir, you are. Please
yeah,
go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right. So let me start with a small disclaimer. Anyway, I'm not a statistician. I'm a marketing person. As Madam Saranya just read it out, I come with a background in marketing and sales and marketing, and in the area of advertising. That has always been my focus. Also, I do have a interest in the area of huge interest, I would say, in the area of archaeology and anthropology, which I do in my leisure time. Archaeological research is one area that is very close to my heart. Okay, that's personal interest. Right. Let me, without taking much time, dive right into the research area. before getting into all this SPSS, all these statistical packages, let me give you a background of research and then bring you back, because we are going to be focusing today on research methodology, sampling techniques, qualitative research, few things I want to share in terms of softwares that is available. I will try to give you extra, if time permits today, to give you 2-3 softwares which you can use, in addition to SPSS. It will complement SPSS also, your data analysis. So the idea is to make things easier. See, we all belong to the teaching fraternity. It's my interest in this area of research that is allowing me now to share information. As teaching fraternity, only when we have the comfort level. I was talking the other day to Dr. Babu, and see, only if there is a comfort level, things get across that side. See, I should not come to this virtual session thinking I'm over here, I know everything. I have to bring myself down, that I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to accept, I'm willing to take inside information, something new. So with that frame of mind, I wish to share few things that I know. Not that I know everything in research. In research cannot be, nobody can do very comprehensive, conclusive research. The beauty of research is that if any research, if it can be falsified, that's even better research. If somebody's theory can be falsified, that's also a good research. Okay, so I bring that to the table here. Before, let me put that across before we start. Okay, today we'll be using the smart board and probably the boards also here. So let me dive right into it. So what is research, and where are we going? So let me put it like this. Research, any phenomenon, if you take any phenomenon, every phenomenon has to be studied in close. The closer you go to a particular phenomenon, it becomes clearer to you. A research is that it takes you closer to a particular phenomenon. Once you get closer, you see the object more clearly. It's like, you see the moon, but you travel in a spacecraft to the moon. As you get closer, you see it more clearly. You see the mountains, you see the ridges, you see the valleys. Yes, it becomes clearer. Research is something like that. You take any phenomenon, any object, and as you go closer to a particular phenomenon, it becomes more clearer to you. So what our understanding now about a particular object or about a particular concept is very minute. We don't understand anything at all. Few years ago, they were talking about whether you can split an atom, whether an atoms can be split. But today you understand that atoms can be split. Can you understand space? Can you understand time? So everything requires us to do research to go closer to it, to understand that phenomenon in completeness. We will never be able to go and understand it completely. Let me tell you that also. We can only go closer. We will never be able to understand a phenomenon in its entirety. That is the beauty of research. Okay, with that, let me start. Let me go to the board. I hope you can see the board. Okay. Right. Can all of you see the board?
Yes, sir, we can.
So we are here. Okay. presumed reality. We are here in our understanding. From here, we tend to make certain assumptions. Assumptions, or we call this as conjectures or prepositions, or you can also call it hypothesis. Hypothesis. So hypothesis is nothing but a mathematical representation of an assumption. Hypothesis is a mathematical representation of a conjecture statement. So let us say like this: to reach at this hypothesis, what we require is here logical reasoning or logic or logical reasoning. Okay, to reach this hypothesis, what you require is logical reasoning. Let me put it to you like this. Let's say, let us say, in Kerala, okay, people cook with coconut oil. Okay, in Kerala, people cook with coconut oil. So there is a study which was released in, I'm giving you another statement. First statement is, in Kerala, people cook with coconut oil. Another statement, or we can call this as literature or past study or fact, which says that if you cook with coconut oil, there is less, coconut oil is responsible for less heart attack. Coconut oil, if you cook with coconut oil, there is less likely chance for you to have a cardiac arrest, heart attack. So based on these two logical statements, in Kerala, people cook with coconut oil. Coconut oil, if you cook with coconut oil, you're less likely to get a heart attack. Then what is the logical conclusion based on these two?
Recording in progress.
No, you're recording. Okay. So what is the logical conclusion of these two statements? If you cook with coconut oil. So can I say that people in Kerala are less likely to have heart attacks compared to people living in other states of India? Can I assume that? Could that be my assumption? So we make a lot of assumption based on certain logical reasoning, based on certain facts, existing literature. We make a lot of assumptions, but that doesn't become a hypothesis. A hypothesis is when an assumption statement is being mathematically represented. Now let me go back to the board again. Let me see how we can mathematically represent this. Let us say, I hope you can see this. I'll just bend my camera slightly down. I'm writing like this. H naught equal to mu not equal to 3. Sorry, I'll make it equal to 3. I'll give you one more hypothesis, alternate hypothesis. H1 mu not equal to 3. Right? Null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis. We are saying that mu, mean, is not equal to the average. We are again saying with the alternate hypothesis that yes, the mean is not equal to 3, not equal to 3, average. So on a scale of, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the center point is average, neutral. We are saying that it is not equal to 3, which means it should be below 3 or above 3. Now this becomes a hypothesis when you are mathematically representing an assumption or conjecture statement. It becomes a hypothesis. Now normally in social science research, how do we do this? When we are writing hypothesis in social science research, when we are writing hypothesis, how do we do this? So what we use certain English terminology, certain words. For example, if you increase the budget of advertising by 10%, then your sales is bound to increase by 20%. You see here? Now I have represented a hypothesis mathematically. I have given an increase and a decrease. So that's mathematical representation of an assumption statement. Now, once you're done with all this, because this part we are not concentrating on today's talk. Today's talk is not about theory building. That's a very vast subject, which I would, if we talk about it, we will take away all the time. But today we are going to concentrate on data analysis. That is going to be our focus. But reaching the hypothesis, reaching a proper hypothesis is the beauty of research. It is very difficult to reach a proper hypothesis, a correct hypothesis. Sometimes the hypothesis can be wrong because we tend to create hypothesis based on wrong fact statements. If the statements, the fact statements, if the literature doesn't hold good or doesn't have proper ground or not sound in terms of its argument, then your hypothesis will not hold good. Your hypothesis bound to deviate. It's a wrong hypothesis. Why? You created a hypothesis based on wrong literature facts. So that's where we have to be very careful when we are doing logical reasoning. Once you're done with the logical reasoning and you have arrived at the hypothesis, now the next task is to test whether this hypothesis that you framed is true or not. Now here's where the research methodology part comes inside. The data analysis part comes inside. Now we collect data to see whether this hypothesis holds good or not. Okay, so let's go to the next stage. Let me go back to the board again. Let me go back to the board. Okay, just lift my camera slightly and rub this off. Which brings us from this part to next part, which is called data analysis or research methodology. Okay, so research methodology. Now your research methodology consists of a lot of things: the type of research, your data analysis, sampling, so many things. Okay, we'll see slowly one by one. Now let me share with you, give me a minute while I share just a PowerPoint to help you understand the types of research. Okay. Just let me know if you're able to see this. Yeah. Can you able to see this? Okay. So this is basically what research methodology, your scope of research is all about. Okay. So basically you can divide it into exploratory research and conclusive research. Exploratory research is an area, you can say, is a very unstructured research. The unstructured observations. You sometimes we do not even understand, the fact that we are studying, the concept that we are studying. Very unstructured, very unstructured. We do not know. Many of the psychological researches are very difficult to understand. We one way of studying exploratory research is through qualitative data. Qualitative data. Let's say you want to get the opinion of people, or you want to know what they are thinking. Recently, let me share with you this. Because I'm from the industry, you see, when I came into academics in my earlier days, about 15 years back, I wanted to engage into research. So the first research I did was, along with one of my colleague, we wanted to study how microfinance is helping the transgender community. The transgender community. For the first time, we had no clue how to study this. So for the first time, we went to a location where many transgender are grouped. So we went to that location. I was holding a camera because we didn't know how to take data from them, because we had to take interview from them. It was a qualitative research, because studying transgender, you may not have data. So you need to get into their mind, what they are thinking, how they are perceiving things, what makes them do a particular kind of job and things like that. So I was holding a camera, a colleague of mine was holding an interview schedule. Went to that location, and we got down from our bikes. We went, there was kind of a lot of huts and everywhere. When there was a building where these transgenders were lodged. Actually, it was run by Melinda Bill Gates, the wife of Bill Gates, known as Thai Foundation, Tamil Nadu AIDS Initiative. Because many of the transgender community were were into different kinds of jobs like cooking and other activities. So we wanted to study this community. So we went there. When they saw us, they all ran inside the rooms. We also got afraid, because many of them were sex workers. It's very difficult to get into that area and study that particular mindset. It was a totally new area for us. Exploratory research. Qualitative research. Then finally we ended up interviewing the leader of the transgender community in that location, who happened to have a sex change operation and was now she, okay, right, who was previously he. And very difficult. What I'm trying to say is, if you enter into certain areas and you try to study them, there is no data available. The entire phenomenon itself is something new. There is unstructured. There is no past observations. Nobody has done any research on that. Maybe literature is not available. At that time, we tend in exploratory research, we tend to get into the area of qualitative research, where you have to go and interview people, probably a small focus group, probably expert opinions. To gather expert opinions. Recently, I'm doing a research in Bargur, and also in Tirupur, where we study families who are involved in secondary textile supply chain markets. See, when the manufacturers, textile manufacturers, when they manufacture clothes, when there is a small damage or the weight of the cloth, let's say one bale one lot goes down by let's say 10 kgs, these entire lot will be rejected because it is not according to the specification or not according to the standards. There might be minute defects. So these clothes go into the secondary market. They go into reprocessing units. Places like in Bargur and Tirupur in Tamil Nadu and also in Surat, there are families who take these clothes, reprocess them and bring it and sell it into the secondary market. There is a place in Bangalore also. So how do you get data from these families? So we had to go live to these families because it's a very close knit society. They don't release information outside. And you have to only go, and you don't have samples at all. You can't take large samples. You can only go and talk to them with an interview schedule. It's like a focus group study, small group, and you go and try to talk with them, sit with them, talk with them, try to gather information, probably even record the speech. So this is how you collect qualitative data. I will tell you later on how do we analyze with software. But that's how expert opinions are collected. Focus group data is collected. So this is what we call as exploratory research. Scientific phenomenon which we cannot understand, which nobody has studied, something new, which doesn't have data, which doesn't have the required literature. We get into the area of exploratory research. Okay. So what such people do in leisure time, where do they spend their money? We want to know, get inside the mind of the individual. Very difficult. So that time we use exploratory research in humanities. Conclusive research. So it is more, the observations are more structured, variables are known, literature is available. Let us say, for example, during this pandemic, let's say how modern students are, let's say, what is the attention of modern students in class during this pandemic? Many of you are faculty members, you would be teaching online. What is the attention? How do we study the attention of students online? Are they sleeping? Are they just switching off their devices, just giving attendance? There's the mic is muted, the videos are stopped. Are they sleeping? Many of my students do that. Unfortunately, study of online, students online. What is their mindset? Are they taking are they able to, let me say, absorb the content? Are they frustrated? Such research comes into this conclusive area because a lot of studies are already there. Especially during this pandemic, last 2 years, many of them have published literature papers in this area. Research is there. So it's a more kind of a structured area. We divide that into two: descriptive and causal research. In descriptive research, the variables, okay, variables means varies with the circumstance, the environment, the inputs. They vary with the circumstances. When the variables are set, there is no change. You just want to find the relationship within these variables. We use a lot of this descriptive. You are describing somebody. You want to find the relationship of the variables between the variables. Yes, we can use descriptive research. But when you go for causal research, for example, let us say you make changes to the variables. When one variable is changed slightly, what happens to the resultant, the other variable? Because independent variable and dependent variable. For example, changes in the price of petrol. Today, we all know in every state, it's just going up. Today, I think today morning when I came to college, I put for 104 rupees. Yeah, 104 rupees 62 paise here in Coimbatore. What will happen? Next thing I'm thinking, okay, if this goes, I should better stop my car in the house. Why not take my scooter and come, my wife's scooty, come to college? Then if it again goes high, let's say 110 or crosses 150, 120, oh my God, scooty is also not enough. Let me buy a bicycle. Like in Japan, when recently we were in Japan, in Tokyo, when we got down from the airport itself, people, there's a cycle stand. You can go around because it's so densely populated in Tokyo. Nobody drives anything there. They all take a cycle or walk. Maybe probably we'll become more healthier, lose the no obese people in in the city. So small changes to one variable, what happens to the other? Changes to the price of petrol, what happens to the price of all the other consumables? This is causal research, right? Causal research. Of course, in descriptive research, as you can see in the slide here, there is longitudinal data, cross-sectional data. You might be finance professors, you might be marketing professors. Longitudinal data is data that is running, over a period of years. Many of the finance research, projects, student projects or research involves longitudinal data, the stock prices over the period of years. Cross-sectional at a one point of time. Marketing research involves a lot of cross-sectional data because the data is collected through a questionnaire at one particular point of time. So single cross-sectional, multi cross-sectional, you take data from 2-3 strata, from 2-3 segments at one particular point of time. We take data from, as I said, from transgenders. We take data from, let's say, the female population, male population, other demographical categories, baby boomers, Generation X, Gen Y, or the current generation, Gen Z, alpha generation of students at one particular point of time, cross-sectional. So research can also be, conclusive research also involves field experiments. Field experiments, okay? That is controlled lab experiments and field experiments. In a controlled lab experiments, the variables are under your control. In field experiments, we do not know how the variables will behave. Probably there is a storm, thunderstorm, and that could change the entire circumstance in which the experiment is being conducted. Could happen, uncontrollable. In field experiments, you must have studied, in a lab experiment, you can even try something like an Hawthorne experiment, very well known to all management faculty. Let us say there are 10 monkeys and you tie a banana, about make the bananas, about 100 bananas hang from the top, and you keep a ladder. What will happen? 10 monkeys. Each monkey, climbs up the ladder, picks up the bananas, and comes down, eats. But when the last monkey climbs, you take a wire and give a small shock treatment to the last monkey. The monkey, what will happen? The monkey will scream and will run. Whenever a monkey comes near to the ladder, you give shock treatment. What will happen? Will it go up the ladder and pluck the banana, or will it run away? So the variables, what I'm saying is, the variables are in your hands. You can control the variables in a lab experiment. In a field experiment, we don't know what will happen. I recently saw a video on Bushmen, who are small people in southern Africa, in Kalahari Desert, down near the south, in South Africa, in Bushmen. How Bushmen find water? Fantastic research. You don't have to look at big data analysis. They have their own methods of getting things done. What they do is they capture a monkey, they tie the monkey onto a tree, leave it there for about 3-4 hours. The monkey becomes very thirsty. What they do is they feed rock salt. They feed rock salt to the monkey. When the monkey eats the rock salt, because it's very inquisitive, he grabs the rock salt and he puts and eats the rock salt. It becomes more thirsty. And after a day, they release the monkey. The monkey straight away runs and finds the water source in the desert. These bushmen, these people, these small people who are living in the Kalahari desert, follow the monkey so they can find the water source. Field experiment. Okay, so this is what I'm coming to say. So this is a research for you. This is the structure, basic structure, exploratory research, conclusive research, and so on. Now let me get into another area. Once you have set this in place, now you know what kind of research you're doing. What we require is data. We collect data. Now data is collected, qualitative data and quantitative data, right? So we have qualitative data which we collect through interview schedules or to focus group studies and so on. Quantitative data, if you have existing data on this, or we take data. Before we get into sampling and all these things, let me just not that you don't know, just to give you a perspective to this, give you something on variables. Once we know the variables, then we can get inside sampling. Okay. Now again, for this, let me go back to the board again. Hold on, let me stop share this. Yeah. Let me stop share the screen here and go back to the board. Okay. So when we take any research, it's all about variables. What are the variables that are involved? Whether it is a psychological research or something to do with consumer behavior, it's something to do with advertising, it's something to do with sales. It's all about variables. You need to know what are the variables that are involved. When we say variables, we have something called as an independent variable. Okay. Independent variable, right? We also have a dependent variable. Right? So you have an independent variable and a dependent variable. Now let me put the dependent variable here so that it becomes easy. Okay, I'll put a dependent variable dv. Okay, independent variable influencing the dependent variable. Now the dependent variable could be sales, independent variable could be your advertising budget. Probably you're having some other variable also, maybe another independent variable. Independent variable 2 could be sales promotion. Okay, sales promotion could be independent variable 2. This one could be your sales. Okay, let me put it here, sales. Okay, dependent variable. So we have two variables impacting the dependent variable. Sometimes you might have something called as a moderating variable. That is, it moderates the influence of the independent variable and the dependent variable. Moderating variable. You have sales promotion here and you have sales here. What could be the moderating variable? Probably the infrastructure. The manpower, or the technology can be a moderating variable. Technology, let me put technology, could be a moderating variable which influences, which moderates the influence of the independent variable and the dependent variable. So it's all about variables, variables, variables. There could be some other variable probably in between these two. We call this as the intervening variable. Okay, intervening variable between these two. This one could be your advertising. Advertising can influence something there in the middle. What can that be? Advertising can influence something in the middle. Can influence, let's say, or it can be, digital marketing or your marketing communication programs, because I belong to the marketing communication department. Marketing communication, programs or something like that, that can influence your sales and so on. So we have, it's all about variables, variables, variables. Once we are clear with this, we move to a larger variable. I'll just rub this off. Just rub this off. Okay. Hold on. We move to a larger variable. We call this as constructs. Okay, we call this as a construct. Okay, construct. Construct is nothing but a very large variable. Construct is a very large variable. Okay, let me take like this. Job satisfaction. Job satisfaction is a construct. Construct is a very large variable which cannot be explained directly. This requires other variables to influence. For example, job satisfaction. There could be other smaller variables by which we can understand this term job satisfaction. What can be the smaller variables which are influencing this variable? Probably, let's say compensation. Compensation could be another variable which is influencing this large variable job satisfaction. And maybe relationship, intra-organizational relationship could be another variable, which is influencing job satisfaction. There could be other variables such as, let's say culture, organization culture, organization culture, and so on. See, so you have to study job satisfaction. We need to study other smaller variables. These are called, this one is called as a construct, whereas these variables here are called as subconstructs. Subconstructs. RUCTS. Okay, subconstructs. We can also name this as a latent variable. Latent variable. Okay, job satisfaction. I want to study job satisfaction. It's a very large variable. To study job satisfaction, it has other variables inside that variable, such as compensation, such as inter-organizational relationship, maybe relationship with the superiors and subordinates, culture, organization culture, all these. If you want to understand job satisfaction, then you need to understand these smaller variables. These smaller variables have other variables to explain them. So I'm putting here as V1, V2, V3. These are all smaller variables. Compensation could be salary, could be fringe benefits, could be other things like that. Likewise, we have for intra-organizational relationship, we have smaller variables, V1, V2, V3. For culture, we might have smaller variables, V1, V2, V3, V4. Okay, smaller variables. So you have smaller variables which are trying to explain the subconstructs, and subconstructs explain the larger construct, or we call as the latent variable. Okay, so this is how it is. So this is how a variable has to be understood, and we do everything possible. We try to find the right kind of a construct, right kind of variable in order to understand the larger construct, which means I'm trying to understand this phenomenon here, which means I am trying to understand this concept here. Okay, okay, let me come back here. Okay, once we are done with that, let me go into sampling. Okay, we know what is a variable. We have, let's say we are collecting data. We are collecting data on the variables to understand the variables. Whether the data that you have collected to prove your theory, you have a hypothesis. Okay, you have a hypothesis. Whether the data that you have collected to prove your theory is enough or not, or how much data or how much sample do you require? How much sample do you require? Because sample is representative of the population. So you have to take the right amount of sample so that you understand everything about the population. So how much is enough? That is the question. Okay, how much is enough? Normally there are three different ways by which we can study sampling. Hold on. Okay, system is updating. Okay, there are normally three ways by which we can study sampling. One is called as the literature method. Okay, let me go back to the board again quickly. Literature method. Literature method. I want to get into the softwares as soon as possible, but what to do? I have to give you the backgrounds. So one is the literature method of sampling. Number two is precision method. Number three is power analysis. Okay, so three methods we have: literature method, precision method, and power analysis. Okay. When I was doing my PhD, I was trying to collect samples on customers. Now, when the samples on customers, normally samples on customers are very, it's a very large number. What is the right number that we can, is required for, proving your theory? Then I was reading a lot of articles, and they said, see, one way to come with a sample size is by looking at past literature on similar work that is done, and the sample size that was taken in that literature, and bring it here. Okay, then I was going through a lot of literature papers, and we arrived at something called as Roscoe 1975 thumb rule. Let me now put that to you. Let me show that. This is the literature method. Roscoe 1975 paper, which talks of a thumb rule. If the sample size is large, very large, what is the minimum sample that is that you can take as per the literature method? Just a minute. Let me just put that for you on the screen. Let me put a paper for you. Okay, screen share. Can you able to see the paper? Okay, this is from the Australian Journal of Basics and Applied Science. Now here, if you go down here, I'm just scrolling down to where they have collected the sample size, which talks about the sample size. If I go down here, yeah, sampling. If you notice here, I'm just moving my cursor on top of it. I hope all of you can see. Just see, with reference to Roscoe 1975, see, I'm just moving my cursor on that. The appropriate sample size for study ranging from 30 to 500. If the sample size is too large, that is more than 500. So what you can do is they have laid down certain thumb rules. See, Roscoe has laid down some thumb rules. It's given here. See, sample size larger than 30 and less than 500 are appropriate for most researchers. So in humanities research, you can use the literature method for coming out with the sample. So this is a paper which has used Roscoe's 1975 thumb rule. I will show you another paper. Just a minute. Stop share, which has used the same thumb rule. Just a minute. Here. Okay. So here we have another paper. Okay. This paper, what sample size is enough in internet survey research? So this is the paper by Dr. Robin Hill. So they have again used the same method. So they have taken here, see, they have taken Roscoe's paper, Roscoe's simple rule of thumb. Here you can see on the screen, right? So if the sample size is very large in a consumer study, you can go for this kind of a sampling technique, that is 500 samples, not less than 30, not not more than 500 would be sufficient to prove your theory. The other method, so the first method is literature. You can quote somebody earlier research that was done in this area, and the sample size that was used in that research can be brought here, and you can quote them. That is one way of doing it. The other way is you can go with the precision method, which uses a formula. Let me go back to the board again for the formula. I'm sorry, my smart board doesn't work. I thought I will use that, but technology sometimes leaves you stranded. It has done. Fortunately, I brought my board. Okay, anyway, I just shifted to the board's camera. So we'll go and try to understand the precision method. So the precision method was used for a very long time. Precision method was used for a very long time, and they used to normally use a formula. In the precision method, normally they use a formula which goes like this: Z equals X bar minus mu divided by sigma divided by root n. So this is the formula normally they use to calculate the sample size. So when you cross multiply, this is actually the sample size. Root n is the sample size. X bar is your sample mean. Mu is your population mean. Sigma is the variance. And Z, sorry, Z is the threshold point, 1.96, you can say, where alpha is there, where alpha cuts the line. This is the threshold point. So when you cross multiply, you normally get something like this: root n equals Z sigma divided by X bar minus mu. Okay. So we get something like this. So this was the method, precision method that was used for calculating sample size for a very long time. Okay. So, but there is a problem with this method. They have considered, they have considered the effect size. They have considered the effect size. I leave this here like this. They have considered the effect size, but they have not considered the power of the test, which is called as 1 minus beta. I'll explain to you what that is. Don't worry about it. They have not considered in this formula the power of the test, which is 1 minus beta. So they have considered the effect size, but they have not considered the power of the test. Again, this is the sample. This is the variance. This is the sample size. Z is the threshold point, 1.96. And this is the population mean and the sample mean. Okay. This this formula, if you take this formula, it depended more on assumptions, estimations. Let me go change the camera again. So it depended more on estimations. They were, estimating the population size. If they didn't have a clear population size, they were estimating the sample size. Even the variance they were estimating. So normally, so this formula, they would calculate, they would have a table. In those days, I remember we used to have tables. We had a sample size table. Let me see if I have a table. I just put it to you on the screen. So this is how, yeah, they used to calculate. Yeah, I think I have one. Just give me a minute. I'll make it bigger. Okay. Right. Just a minute. Screen share. I hope you can see the table. So this is normally the table which we used to use in those days. Here you see. See, this is the population size. This is the sample size at a significance level of 0.05. So what is the sample size for the corresponding population size? So normally they would use this table to get the sample size. The only problem, now this was calculated using chi-square, these tables. So this is what we call as the Cohen's method of finding out sample size, where we use this formula, precision method, we say, of finding the sample size. But another better method which is available to you today is what we call as power analysis. The third method. Let me again stop this. Power analysis. And in power analysis, we use to calculate. We use a software called as G power 3, which I will just show you right now, to calculate the sample size. So power analysis uses effect size, alphas, and the power of the test, which is 1 minus beta, which was not available. Which was not available in the earlier precision methods, which was used by Cohen's method. It did not have the power of the test. Hold on, let me just open the software. Let me know if you are able to see it or not, because technology can be tricky. Are you able to see it? If one of you can respond. Are you able to see the screen? See my
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So here we have the software called as it's an open source software. All of you can download it. This method uses what we call as the power analysis, the third method for calculating the sample size. Now, if you notice here, there is something called as effect size. When I move my cursor on top of that, you can see the 3 effect sizes coming. Effect size conventions. It says small, medium, large. Are you able to see that, all of you? Small, medium, large. Is it visible to you? Okay, super. Okay, thank you. So what, this is effect size. When the effect size is very small, which means you require large sample. For example, let me take these 2 pens here. See, let me take this 2 pen. You can see. I don't know. Let me maybe. Okay, I'll just take these 2 pens here. If I keep them close together, can you find the difference? Okay, which one is bigger, which is smaller? No. When you find, can you find the variations? Can you find the variations between these two? Which one is small, which one is bigger, and so on? Which one is taller, which one is shorter? When the difference is so minute that you can't directly figure out, which means the effect size is very small, the variations between these two are so small. Okay, let me put it this way. Because we are in COVID's times. Let me take 2 vaccines. Two vaccines. We have the Covishield, which is there in our country. Then we have Covaxin from Bharat Biotech. Covishield from Serum Institute, Oxford University, AstraZeneca Covishield, and Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. Now, when they say the technology is same, both of them, uses proteins. They grow amino acids. They amino virus. I don't know what is that. I don't. Some virus they use, and they grow these protein spikes. Yeah, which our body thinks, okay, these protein spikes are the real coronavirus spikes, and they produce antibodies to fight against them. This is the technology they use. We don't understand the technology. The technology seems to be almost similar between these two, which is Covaxin and Covishield. And how do you find which is more effective than the other? The efficacy rate. One of them says 80%, the other one says 67% efficacy. Which one is better? So when you take all these vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, Sinovac from China, the Sputnik V from Russia, how do we know which is better? Which one is able to prevent the new strain, the Delta plus strain? Which one? How do we understand the technology? Because the variations are so minute. You can't, with the naked eye, with small research, you can't understand. So when the variations are very small, that means you require large sample to figure out the difference between these two. That is why when they are testing out these vaccines, vaccines don't get developed all overnight. 1 year, I think, is a very short time for these vaccines to come in. I was talking with a pharmacy head, and he was saying, he was just laughing. It normally takes 9 years, 10 years to come out with a proper vaccine, because they have to go to stage 1 trial, stage 2, stage 3. They try it with animals first. They try it with a selected group of humans. Then they go for a larger group, and so on. So by the time they reach the population for commercial use, it takes about 10 years. And you require a large sample when the effect size, when the difference is minute. So now you understand what is an effect size. So normally for scientific research, when the effect size has to be kept very minimum, so that which means the sample size is very large. Let me go back to the board again to help you understand the effect size. So we were here, try to understand this formula. Let me just lower my camera. So the effect size equals x bar 1 minus x bar 2 divided by sigma. Okay, effect size. X bar 1 is, this is the mean of one, let's say one vaccine, and the mean of the other vaccine by variance. You're trying to find out which is better, right? Whether it is Covaxin or Covishield, and the variance could be that maybe difference. See, when you're testing it in terms of different kinds of population, probably how it reacts to adult population, maybe age group more than 45 plus, and how these vaccines, what is the effect of these vaccines on children. So whatever could be the variance, that's represented by this sigma. This is what we call as the effect size. If you notice in Cohen's method, he has already used this. See it here. I'll just revolve it. This is what we call effect size. So he has used effect size. What he has missed is this one, 1 minus beta, which is the power of the test. Now let me go back to the software to help you understand. Let me switch on. I'm just juggling with the cameras here. Okay. Screen share.
It's all going great, sir. Don't worry about it. We are able to see it through.
Yeah. Now?
This is perfect, sir. We can see it.
Fantastic. Right. So in the software now you can see here effect size, small, medium, large. Small effect size means what? Large samples are required. Large number of samples are required to find the variations, to find the difference, right? For social science, because our entire focus is on social sciences, SPSS data analysis for social sciences, humanities studies, I would prefer a more medium effect size, which is 0.30. Can you see that? 0.30 effect size. 1 minus beta, the power of the test, and we have two values here. You can see here alpha error probability and 1 minus beta, that is the power of the test. Okay, so what is this alpha error? Okay, to help you understand that, the best example I can give you is, let me put a hypothesis for you now. Let us say a person is innocent. Okay, the hypothesis is the accused is innocent. I'll put two hypotheses. I'll go back to my board camera. Okay, I'm going to put two hypotheses, then come back to this again. Stop share this. I'm going to put two hypotheses. I'll just rub this off. H0 accused is innocent. Okay, H1 alternate hypothesis. Accused is a murderer. Okay, I put two hypotheses here. Accused is innocent. The other one, the accused is a murderer. Now, the defense lawyer who is going to argue with the case in terms of the accused, he doesn't have to prove anything, because he genuinely, the accused is an innocent person. Let us say the accused is an innocent person. He doesn't have to prove anything. So who has to prove it? The prosecution lawyer, the public prosecutor, or the police. It is the job of the police or the prosecution team to prove that, to bring evidences in support to say that he is not innocent. Now, let us say in fact that the accused is innocent. Okay.
Recording stopped.
In spite of this, in spite of saying that the accused is innocent, at the
Recording in progress.
Okay, recording, huh?
Sorry, sir. We're just
Okay.
trying to swap
That's okay.
between
Oh,
servers.
oh, no problem, no
Sorry
problem.
about that.
Okay. Okay, where was I? Yeah, I was just trying to say that, see, the accused is an innocent man. Everybody knows that. But the prosecution does very hard to bring evidences. The evidences, many evidences support that. If the judge releases him, then the null hypothesis hold good. The accused is innocent, no problem at all. But the judge, if he pronounces the man as guilty, when he's really innocent, if the man is really innocent, but by chance the judge pronounces him as guilty, then there is an error. That is this alpha error. So for such an error to take place is 5%. Alpha error means for such an error, a person who is innocent was proved guilty, who is really innocent was given the guilty verdict by the judge. For such an error to take place is 5%. We are fixing it at 5%. This is in layman's term, just putting it across. Okay, 5% alpha error. Then what is the power of the test? That is what we call as 1 minus beta. Let me show that now. Let me share screen. Here you can see. Here you can see here alpha probability 0.05, which is 5% error. Okay, the hypothesis for the accused to be pronounced as guilty when he's really innocent, there is 5% chance when that things could go wrong. That an innocent man can be punished. 5% chance. So 1 minus beta is the power of the test. Now the accused is a murderer. The alternate hypothesis says that the accused is a murderer. Then when the team, if he really is a murderer, he's a murderer. And when they give the evidences, when they're able to prove that he's a murderer, and he gets a sentence from the judge that he's guilty, he's pronounced as guilty as a murderer. All right. Chances for such a event to take place is 0.95 or 90 is more than enough. So I will put here 90%. 90% chance. 90%. As a thumb rule, you can say that, sir, how is alpha 5% and this is 90%? As a thumb rule, again, this is again from literature. As a thumb rule, 1 minus beta maximum you can keep it as 90%. 90% you can prove, he can be proved as guilty. Okay. So what is alpha now? What is alpha? It is the wrong significance. Probability of wrong significance is alpha. What is 1 minus beta? The power of the test. It's the probability of right significance. So the probability of right significance is the power of the test, 1 minus beta. The probability of wrong significance is alpha. Just to help you to understand that, I went through all this innocent murderer story. Okay, accused story. So the alpha means probability of wrong significance, and the 1 minus beta power of the test is probability of right significance. Now, for humanities research, I would even bring down the power to 0.80. So I'm changing to 0.080. You can all see that on the screen. I'm bringing it down to 0.80. That is more than enough for humanities researchers. And I'm going to keep the effect size as medium. Okay, right. Now we are going to see how much sample size is enough to prove the theory. Okay, how much sample size is needed. Okay, so here on this side we have something called as the test family. We have different kinds of test family. So I'm going to click on this. So you can see the F test family. You can see the T test family, chi-square, Z test, and so on. So let's work out our chi-square test. How much sample is required for calculating chi-square. Chi-square. So the formula for chi-square is sigma O minus E the whole square, sigma divided by sigma E. Okay. So observed minus the expected. Okay. So chi-square test, you can see goodness of fit. Chi-square test is there, and the degree of freedom is 5. Degree of freedom is n minus 1 is degree of freedom is 5. Now let's work out. Let's find how much samples required. So just click on calculate and you'll get the result. So you got it now. How much is it? How much is the sample size required for doing a chi-square test? 220 samples. Okay, 220 samples is there for calculating chi-square is required. Now if you notice here, it is written type of the power analysis, and it's written here a priori test. A priori. Now there are two ways you can do this analysis. One is called as a priori, the other one is post hoc. That is, see, before doing the research, you want to know the sample size. Before going and collecting the data, you want to know how much sample is required to prove your theory. So you want to know how much sample size is required. So then you set it to a priori, then you can calculate the sample size. Now for doing chi-square test, we got the sample size as 220 samples are required. So there are different kinds of tests here. I'm just clicking here for you to see. So you have a priori, you have post hoc test, and so on. So let me just explain to you what is a priori and what is post hoc. Now, before doing the research, you want to know the sample size, and you wish to know the sample size. Therefore, you fix it at a priori and do a particular test, and you got the result as 220 for doing a chi-square. Post hoc test means you have already collected, let's just say 200 samples. You have collected 200 samples. You want to know whether these 200 samples is sufficient to prove the theory, or this is sufficient, or it represents the population or not. Okay, that is called as a post hoc test. Now in a priori test, now we have worked out the sample size calculation for chi-square, and we got 220 samples. Now let's work out ANOVA. Okay, let's work out one more regression test. We'll go to F test. Okay, and let's go to here, multiple regression R square deviation from 0, omnibus R square deviation from 0. So we'll work out for doing a regression analysis how much sample is required. So here it asks for number of predictors 2. So how many independent variables are trying to predict the dependent variables? If you have 2 independent variables trying to predict the dependent variables, you can put 2. If you have 3 independent variables trying to predict the dependent variable, then you can put 3, and so on. Okay, number of predictors. So let's leave it as 2. And this one minus beta power of the test, I'm going to reduce it to 80 because that's what we talked. We said for humanity research that much is enough. And alpha error, we'll keep it as probability error, we'll keep it as 0.5 itself. Now let's calculate and see how much it is coming for doing a regression. Calculate. So how much is required? Just 68 samples are enough for doing a multiple regression. For chi-square, how many samples were required? 220 samples were required. For doing a multiple regression, the minimum number of samples that is required for you to collect is 68 samples. Now let's go and try and fire for ANOVA, because normally ANOVA requires large number of samples. Okay, ANOVA again belongs to the F family. So we go down and we the first one here, ANOVA, omnibus one way. Take ANOVA, and number of groups. Number of groups means categorical variables, categories that you have. Then maximum number of nominal variable that you have, categories that you have in a variable, which are trying to influence the dependent variable. So here we have about 5 categories in a particular variable, which is maximum. You can have 6 if you have 6 categories with which you are trying to find the influence. You can use 6. If you have 4, you can change according to that. Again, I'm going to reduce this power of the test to 80, And let me see if I can calculate and find out the ANOVA. Okay, so how much is required for ANOVA? So 200 samples is required. 200 samples is required. So when you have now you have three different types. Let us say your research involves chi-square, your research involves ANOVA calculations, and your research involves regression, correlation, and so on. When you have three different sample sizes, one was 220, the other one was 68, and the other one was 200. Now which one do we take? You can ask me this question. Go for the highest. 220 is the highest, so keep 220 as the sample size. Now you can get the output here by clicking this protocol of, you can get all the analysis here. You have to save this report here. You can also get a graph. When you go to the XY plots, you can get a graph. Okay, draw plot. You can get a graph like this. So you can see here in the graph that the power of the test, we kept it as 80. So here, just corresponding to 80, about 200 samples are required for doing an ANOVA test. So we had three different sample sizes: 68, 220, and 200. Always take the bigger one. Now this is an a priori test. Before you go for a collecting samples. Now let us say you already collected samples. You already collected 500 samples, or you collected 100 samples. You want to know whether those samples are sufficient to represent the population. In that case, you just click on here, go to post hoc test. Right now here, see here, alpha, we keep it as alpha error, that is the probability of wrong significance. We keep it as 5%. And the total sample size, let us say you have collected only 150 samples. So I'm putting 150 in the sample size, groups of 5. I want to know what is the power of the test. If the power of the test is more than 0.80, then it's so fine. If it's less than 0.80, then your sample size is not sufficient. Okay, so let me calculate. Let me see what answer I'm getting. What's the answer? So the power of the test, 1 minus beta, is 0.6. What is required? 0.8 and above. So if it's less than 0.8, then the sample size is not sufficient. A sample size of 150 is not sufficient, right? So this is what we call as the power of the test. So, post hoc test. So now we have looked at three different kinds of sampling techniques: the literature method, precision method, and power analysis method. Let's move into variables. Very important. Let's move into variables. Just give me a minute. Let me just put to the screen questionnaire. That'll be a better way to understand. Okay, let me just show you, display a questionnaire. That'll help you to understand. Right. Here we are. So I'm going to put a questionnaire. Just give me a minute. It's a study that I'm doing recently now. It's on supply chain collaboration. Okay, so it's a questionnaire I'm putting here. So we are talking about variables and different scales. In research methodology, we talked about the different kinds of researches that you can undertake: exploratory study, conclusive study, which has causal research, which have descriptive research, longitudinal study, cross-sectional study, lab experiments, field experiments. You can do all these things, but you need to know what scales to fix. What is a scale? What is the different, how data is going to be organized? How do you collect these data? What is a scale? what instrument, what research scale can we use? There are different kinds of scale. We call this as, nominal scale, interval scale, metric scale, ordinal scale. Nominal scale normally involves categorical data. See, for example, here you can see on the screen the level of education, school level, bachelor degree, master's degree, PhD, others, field of study, management, engineering. These are all categorical variables. So they have categories. Let me go down. I know I'm going from the basics. Many of you are faculty. This might sound a little boring to you, but it's okay, because we are going slowly from the basics. Because the participants, I do not know at what level the participants are. They could be research scholars, and there could be faculty members and university professors. So according to that, we are taking slow one by one. So it could be very trivial for you, for some of you. Here we are. So this is all nominal data or categorical data arranged in categories. Role of the respondents in the organization. You have general manager, factory manager, assistant manager, and so on. So all these are categorical data. Data can also be are arranged in an interval scale. So here what we have here, see here, question number 15, intra-organizational collaboration, joint decision making. So joint decision making within the various departments of the organization is what we call intra-organizational collaboration. Just can you give me 1 minute when I connect my power? I think my power source is running low. Just a minute. Sorry about that. Okay. Right. Just a minute. So nominal data. Here you see is categorical data, and interval scale. You can see interval scale here, where we have arranged in an interval, or we can call this as a 5-point scale. Normally, from important to less important, semantic scales, good to bad, and things like that. So here we have strongly disagreed to strongly agreed, 5-point scale, 7-point scale, and so on. Right? These are all categorical. These are all interval scales. So data can also be arranged as metric data, that is actual data. For example, rainfall in Bangalore, height of a person, so on. Metric data, the actual value, can also be used. So both qualitative and quantitative research involves these two kinds of data. In qualitative research, just as I spoke to you earlier, before we go into SPSS, and it took so much time to actually get you into SPSS. In qualitative data, sometimes we take expert opinions. We go talk to people, we talk to a particular group, try to collect expert data, expert opinion, and so on. How do we analyze this data? See, normally you take a pen and paper, we record, we have a conversation with a person from whom you're going to collect data. And we ask them few questions. He's maybe a subject expert in that area. We take down the notes on what he's speaking. This is what journalists do. Or maybe the police is doing an investigation. They try to collect data. They talk to people. Did you see that? Was it dark? Did you notice the person, and things like that? So they start collecting data. And sometimes they take voice samples, they take record and this voice samples, and so on. So like this, qualitative data is collected from through expert opinions, through focus groups, and so on. There is a software which we can use, which we can use to quantify qualitative data. The name of the software is called as Transana. This kind of software, I can show you that. Um, mm, let me see if I have that. The software uses, it uses, you can, if you feed the recording, let's say you can record maybe in your cell phone, maybe you can record in your cell phone. You can take an interview with a person, and you can record in a cell phone. You can load that voice audio into this software. This software in a wave pattern, it segregates the audio, it segregates the it gives a transcript of the record of the written words, and from those transcript you can pick out how many times he used the word good, how many times he used the word, he used a positive sentence, how many times he used a negative sentence. This kind of technique is now used in analytics also, where they pick out if there is sentimental in social media, in Facebook, and sentimental analysis is being done, where how people react to a new product or a new brand. Are they criticizing a brand? Are they talking in favor of the brand? What are the people talking about this new launch of this new product? What is the sentiment of the people like? What is trending? So qualitative data, with the help of these software such as Transana, you can take data and convert it into quantitative data. Okay, from qualitative to quantitative data. Let me see if I have a just give me 1 minute. I can just put it up to you. Mhm. Okay, just a minute. So I'll just show you a small sample from this Transana software. Here you are. So here you can see here how the transcript, the software has given a transcript of the conversation. The conversation can be written as a transcript, and from here the words are taken and analyzed. Here is where you have analytics, data analytics coming into play. Now in analytics we have prescriptive analytics, descriptive analytics, and predictive analytics. Analytics stream, as you know, is very popular. It's very popular in nowadays especially, and it's growing. And this stream helps, this software helps in bringing that analysis. Okay, just give me a minute. Right. Okay, now I'll just switch it off. Right. So let's go back to our data. Now I'm going to show you. Now the questionnaire that you saw, I have fed it into the database, and let's see what happens. I'll just display to you SPSS, the data in SPSS. I want you to have a look at it. Then the questionnaire that you just saw, which had the categorical variables, which had the interval variables and so on, is now fed into the database SPSS. Now I have just opened the SPSS window for you. Right, you can just have a look at it while I go to the board and explain to you a few things. Okay. Just have a look at it. So you can see here, the data is now fed inside, and hold on. We're going to analyze a few things here. Let us say I want to, before that, just give me a minute. Okay, you can see the board here. Right. So what test to do for what data? Normally we have, people have a doubt, what kind of test can be performed? For this kind of data, what kind of test we can perform? So I'll just divide into two: independent variable and dependent variable. Let us say your independent variable is in nominal scale. Okay, nominal scale. And your dependent variable is also in nominal scale. Then the test you need to perform is a chi-square test. Okay, your independent variable is in nominal scale, that is in categorical variable, and your dependent variable is also nominal categorical variable. If you want to find the relationship between these two, you need to perform a chi-square test. I hope you can see. Wait a minute, the camera. Now it's okay. Yeah. Now, if the independent variable is nominal scale and the dependent variable is in, let us say, interval scale, just like the one we saw, 5-point scale or metric scale, then the test that you can perform is ANOVA. If the independent variable, let's take the reverse now. If the independent variable is in interval scale or metric scale, but your dependent variable is in nominal scale, then you can perform what is called as discriminant analysis. Right? Let us say, now we have three scenarios. Fourth scenario, if your independent variable is interval scale or metric scale, and your dependent variable also is interval scale or metric scale, what test can we perform? We can perform a correlation or regression. Regression. Okay. If your independent variable is an ordinal scale, that is in rank order, and your dependent variable is also in ordinal scale, then you can perform rank correlation. Okay. So basically this is how we try to understand how different kinds of tests are performed in a simple way. Okay, in this simple way. So let's go back to now and see if we can do a test. So let's take an ordinal test now. We'll do an ordinal test and try to understand that. So let me take a data for you. Go back. I'll just take the data for you, and we'll try to do an ordinal. We'll try to do an ordinal test. Okay. Here I have a data. I have data for you. So we have different types of toothpaste: Colgate, Pepsodent, Close Up, Dabur, Oral B, Sensodyne. So 6 different kinds of toothpaste. So now I've collected data from, let me see how many, because about 150 people. I have collected data from 150 people. I have asked them to rank it, which is their best choice according to the preference, which comes first. I have asked them to give rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, rank 4, because this is ordinal. We want to do an ordinal test and find out how the 150 people have ranked on overall, how the 150 people have ranked this, mm, 150 people have ranked these different products of toothpaste: Colgate, Pepsodent, Close Up, Dabur. Okay, let's do test. So I'm going to perform now a non-parametric test called as a Friedman test and find out of the 150 people who have made their choices, who are given the ranks to these 6 different brands, which brand is the best brand? Which brand is the best brand out of these, and which is ranked first, which is ranked second, which is ranked third, and so on. Right, so let's perform. I hope you can see. I'll just click on the by the way, can you see? Just somebody give me something, a hands up or thumbs up, something, because I'm not sure if, yeah, okay, thank you. Right, so let's analyze. We'll find out. Let's go to non-parametric test and go to K related samples. So we have 6 different brands here: Colgate, Pepsodent, Close Up, Dabur, Oral, Sensodyne. Throw that inside the test variable. Select all the 5 brands, bring it here, and we're going to you have to click this one, this test called as the Friedman test, right? Click on the Friedman test and click on OK. So you get the results. I just bring the results up for you. So you have the results here. The hypothesis is that there is no difference in the ranks. That's the null hypothesis. The alternate hypothesis is, yes, there is difference in the brands. There is difference in the ranks. So let's look at that. So let's look at the first the significance value. The significance value is 0.000, which is less than 0.05 at 5% level of significance. Therefore, we reject the null hypothesis and select the alternate hypothesis, which says that yes, there is difference in the selection of these brands. The people have prioritized these brands, right? So normally, so in a normal curve, we select. So okay, to make it easier, so the significance value here is 0.000, which is less than 0.05 at 5% level of significance. Therefore, there is significant difference in the brands. Now, like it's ranked here. So you have Colgate 2.73, Pepsodent 3 point mean ranks are given. We have to go for the least mean rank. That is the first rank. Now, which is the least one? Colgate seems to be the least with 2.73. So the choice of 150 people have ranked Colgate as the first brand, as the best brand. Second rank goes to here. Which one? Yeah, Close Up. So Close Up gets second rank with 3.40. Pepsodent gets the third rank, and so on. Okay, Sensodyne gets fourth, and so on. The last rank is given to Oral B paste. So this is how we do simple calculation with ordinal data. Okay, because our topic is on different kinds of data, scales, sampling, and so on, right? So with an ordinal data, this is a simple test that you can perform to find out which is the best rank. Okay, just stop here, take you back to the other data. Okay, now let me again screen share. So you have a data that the one that I showed here. Now, if you notice, here in question number on the top, you see the question numbers. Question number Q15A, Q15B, Q15C, Q15D, E, F, G, H, and so on. You see these question numbers here. All these are up to, see, Q15H, Q15A, question number 15A to question number 15H. All these are variables which are measuring a construct called as joint decision making. Okay, for internal collaboration, one of the constructs for internal collaboration inside an organization. This study is about supply chain collaboration. For intra-organizational collaboration to take place, for the various departments to collaborate, there has to be something called as joint decision making, strategic planning, organizational trust. These are the sub constructs which are trying to explain the larger construct. You remember on the board we tried to understand what is a construct when we try to study what is, job satisfaction and all these things. So I just told you what is a construct. Construct is a large variable which cannot be understood directly. It requires other variables to explain the larger variable. So in order to study the larger construct of intra-organizational collaboration inside the organization, I have taken a smaller sub-construct called as joint decision making. For me to understand the joint decision making, I have used about how many variables? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, about let's say about 6 variables. I have taken about 6 to 7 variables to understand this larger construct which is called as joint decision making. But I want to find whether these variables are which I have taken are reliable or not, whether these variables are actually measuring that particular construct or not. To find out that, I have to go to this analyze, go to scales, click on reliability analysis, right? Click on statistics, scale if deleted, put a tick mark to that, then give continue, right? Then select the variables that you want to find the reliability for. So what I want to do is just make it into variable names. So here we have 15A. From 15A right down to, I want to find the reliability for the variables 15A to 15H, because they are measuring a construct called as joint decision making. Okay, so I put them inside. So in the statistics scale of items, I have scale if deleted, continue, and alpha value. I want to find the Cronbach alpha value, which talks about reliability. Now let's give okay. Let's see what we are getting. Here we are. Here, this is the output. The output table shows the reliability of the constructs. Cronbach alpha value shows the reliability. So what is reliability? See, reliability is found out for the instrument, whether the instrument is reliable or not. For example, take a scale, a normal ruler, scale. Every time, or measuring tape, every time you measure with that, you're supposed to get the same answer only. Or you take a thermometer. It's a very reliable scale. You measure with that, you get the temperature. Or you take a gun. If a gun, every time you pull the trigger and the gun is hitting the target, then it's a reliable instrument. So if you're measuring with a scale, with a ruler or a measuring tape, and you measure 80 centimeters or 90 centimeters, it's even if some other person comes and measures it, it should give the same answer. So which means that the instrument is reliable. Or let me put it like this, in a more simpler terms. Let us say I'm boarding a city transport, a public transport bus, right, in Bangalore city. I am taking ticket. The ticket is a reliable instrument because it is issued by the government of Karnataka. It's a reliable instrument. It's a very reliable instrument, okay, because it is issued by the government. But whether that ticket, the ticket is used for traveling in that bus only on that day, which means it is valid only for that day. I can't take the ticket today and travel, after 5 days in that same bus. It is not valid on that day. It is not valid on Saturday. It's not valid on Sunday. Whichever day, today is Monday. If I take the ticket today, I have to travel today. It is valid only for today. So there are two concepts here which you need to take into consideration. One is reliability. The other one is validity. The validity of the variables, whether the variables that you have selected to study that particular construct is valid or not. Let us say you're studying the educational qualification of the students, educated versus uneducated, who performs better. But in your instrument, in your measurement instrument, you are using a variable called as what is the rainfall of Bangalore, which means that particular variable or particular question has nothing to do with the concept that you're measuring. Okay, so validity means if the variables are valid, if the variables are measuring the given latent variable. And reliability is the instrument, whether the instrument is reliable or not. At every point of time, if you measure with that instrument, it has to give a reliable output. So one such method we all use for finding the reliability is the Cronbach alpha value. The Cronbach alpha value should be 0.7. And there is another literature paper from Nunnally which says that it should be 0.7. Anything less than 0.7 means the instrument is not reliable. Right, so let's look what we got here, what scores we got here. See the Cronbach alpha value here for the first variable, okay, for which is measuring joint decision making, it is 0.378. It is less than 0.7. It's not reliable. Okay, see all the variables here, if you notice here, are less than 0.7. So it doesn't have the required sufficient reliability conditions. Okay, and look at the overall reliability of the entire construct. It is 0.48. Okay, 0.48 Cronbach value 0.48 for that entire construct. Joint decision making has a reliability value of 0.428, which is less than 0.7, which means that particular construct does not show any reliability. If you look down, if you look below, you can see if you click on, just a minute, let's take another construct. Let me see. Let's see if the reliability has gone up or not. Let's go to scale reliability. Let's throw all these out. Let's take one more construct. Okay, this one. We'll go for question number 21. Okay, Let's see if this is reliable or not. So 21A, 21B, 21C, 21D, 21E, F, G, H, okay, up to H, 21H. I'll go to statistics, scale of I, if deleted, continue. Now let's see the alpha values. Reliability, look at here. The output data show that this construct, which talks of internal integration, this construct is talking about internal integration. The Cronbach alpha value, as you can see here, is 0.777, which is more, more than 0.7, which means this construct seems to be reliable. Okay, look at all the individual variables inside the construct, which is measuring internal integration. All of them seem to have a good reliable value. See 0.776, 0.747, and so on. Okay, you can see that they're having good reliability. So reliability and validity is very important for testing. Okay, now I think there are other speakers, in the day 2, day 3 and all, who will be talking to you regarding correlation and regression and so many other things, right? Actually, I wanted to show you, another software which we can use for finding the relationship between two variables. Let me see if I have time. How much time do I have, madam? Madam? Saranya, madam, how much time do I have? I think it's 4:40. Just want to know if I have some time so that I can show one more. Babu sir, do I have time?
Sir,
I think
Dr.
we can
Joshua?
take another 5 to, how long do you want it, sir?
What is the time limit, sir, so that I can end or give time for?
4:45. If you
Okay.
want, you can take other 5 minutes
Oh,
to.
okay. Then it's already time. Then it's 4:43
It's
now.
already time now, sir. And
Yeah.
we will open for 5 minutes to the question.
Yeah. Okay.
If they have
Fine.
any questions, they can ask.
Okay. No problem. Okay. I think I've.
Sir, concept is covered now. Only you wanted to show extra example. That's it.
No, I wanted to show them another software where they can, use the variables. Okay, that's no problem. We'll do it on another day.
I've seen
This
all
much is
the
enough.
examples.
Yeah, I think I have covered all the concept that
Sample
was.
size, scaling, and all
Yeah,
aspects you covered.
I think I have covered.
You
I think
wanted to
now
ask
it's.
question.
Yeah.
Madam.
One thing I just wanted to tell when we are talking about reliability and validity, sometimes if you know, you will get a reliability of 0.9, extraordinary reliability. You shouldn't think that is a reliability. Because sometimes what happens is people would have answered the questions without understanding them. Right, there is a case where the reliability will go to 0.9, more than and we think extraordinary reliability. So sometimes there might be mistakes in the instrument itself. Probably if you ask similar questions inside a construct, for example, the salary given to me in my organization is good. Second question, the organization gives good salary to its employees. Third question, the salary structure of the organization is very great. So we have three variables which are only talking about salary. In this case, the reliability value will come as 0.9. But you have to be very careful when we are calculating this reliability, validity, and so on. Okay, anyway, I don't. Let's not confuse too much here. There are other, resource people who can share a lot of things. I think I have covered the topics that was given to me. Any questions? We can sure.
Session is open for a question.
Yeah.
I'll
try. Whatever I can help you with, I can do it. Again, let me reiterate that. This is just to help you out in terms of your research. Nothing new. Many of you might already be knowing this. Many of you might know will be guiding research scholars. It might help you. All these softwares and things you can use to simplify the work. That's all. To simplify your work and make your publications better. We will
So,
deal. Yeah, go
Dr.
ahead, ma'am.
Joshua, sorry. We have a first question from one of our participants.
Yeah.
Participant would like to know, does research that uses these particular tools and software have any more weightage than those that don't, considering we are from the humanities?
Okay. Especially in India. In India, there is a general thought among even I had that. Okay, in my earlier days, that if you use maximum number of tools in your paper, that your paper gets accepted. It's quite the contrary. It's not the number of tools that you use, research tools that you use, or the softwares that you use. Software just simplifies your work, that's all. But the number of tools, number of tests that you perform, you might use regression, you might use multivariate analysis, use SEM modeling, chi-square, ANOVA, everything in one paper. But still the paper won't be accepted, right? So it's not about the number of tests that you perform, it's the strength of your logical reasoning to arrive at the hypothesis. That is what is required. Okay, the logical reasoning, how you argue your case, how you argue your with the help of premise statements, how you argue with the help of facts to reach at the hypothesis and propose a very logical conceptual model. The strength of that argument will help you to publish in international journals. This is what I have learned the last 10 to 15 years. Okay, and it's not
So,
about the analysis are just to help you. Empirical analysis, yes, empirical analysis are just to give help you to prove that particular theory. But in India, this seems to take a very important part in research, avoiding the logical reasoning and theory building. Theory building is the most important thing. Yes, go ahead.
sir, the next question is that you had mentioned saying there is alternative software for SPSS. Could you
Yeah.
please mention those names or
Okay.
share them with us for later?
Okay, I can just
research?
mention SPSS, of course, is now bought by IBM. Like it's IBM SPSS. All right, it's very costly nowadays. The one that I just was using in this program was SPSS 17, it's the older version. Right now, the IBM has bought it. So IBM SPSS is very costly. You can get parallel license and everything. But if you don't, it's very costly to buy SPSS. Then you can go for PSPP. It's an open source software. Okay, PSPP. There are other softwares also, Minitab, all these softwares. Minitab, but PSPP will do. And there is one more called PAST. Yes, PAST, because I'm involved in archaeological research, and in archaeological research we used a software called as PAST, Paleontology Statistics. Okay, Stata is also there. MarkStrat is also there. MarkStrat, Strata, and Jump. The latest software that is available in the market is Jump, JMP. Fantastic software which uses GUI, graphical user interface. It gives you the entire analysis in graphs. You can do all your analysis. You can do your factor analysis. You can do your regression. Everything on graphs itself. Jump. Try that one. JMP.
Right. So, next question is SPSS statistical package an institutional subscription or an individual one?
Oh yeah. Individual also you can get, but it's very costly. Institutions better. 50 user license I think will cost you around 6 to 10 lakhs. Yeah, institutional license.
Sure, sir. Sir, thank you so much. There are few more questions coming in, but unfortunately, we have a paucity of time,
Okay.
and we will have to wind up this really, really enriching and informative session. In fact, most of the responses in the chat windows are an appreciation for the excellent presentation itself, more than questions. So, thank you so much, Dr. Joshua, for your time and your effort. These basic nuances that you have shared with us is is going to go a long way in allowing our scholars to evolve a more reliable, a more validated research work from their end. And I am pretty sure that they will have you to thank for having introduced these tools to us, and having elaborated upon with sufficient examples, and also demonstrating the use of these tools online live. Thank you so much for your time, sir. On behalf of St. Paul's College, the management, the staff, on behalf of Mount Carmel College, our partner and mentor institute, on behalf of Dr. Babu V, the convener of the FTP, as well as the coordinator of IQAC, and on my own behalf, and on behalf of all my colleagues at St. Paul's College, I extend a warm thanks to Dr. Joshua Selvakumar for having spent time with us this afternoon on elaborating the different aspects of research using SPSS tools. This has indeed been an insightful session, something that has given us, in a very crisp and concise manner, the way in which we can go forward with our research. We extend a very, very warm thank you to you, sir, for your presence. I also thank very humbly all the all the dignitaries that were present this afternoon for the inaugural session, starting from Dr. Kavita Singh from Mount Carmel College, also the colleagues from Mount Carmel College who've been mentoring us in the process of quality assurance. I extend a warm thanks from folks at St. Paul's College for your presence. A warm thank you also to the principal, the vice principal, the administrator, the staff, and faculty members of St. Paul's College for your presence this afternoon at the inaugural session, as well as throughout the session of Dr. Selvakumar. I also extend a warm thank you to all the participants for your patience and for your relevant interventions and responses to our deliberation today.
Yeah.
A quick reminder to all of you that we will be posting the feedback link right now in the chat window. I request all of you all to kindly complete the feedback process within the next hour or so that it is easy for us to compile the data and also check the attendance vis-a-vis the registration forms as well. The same has been shared. The same will be shared on our YouTube channel right away. So those of you who are joining us on YouTube can also access the feedback link and give us your feedback on today's session. In case you all are having any trouble accessing the link, we will be able to assist you with that. Kindly use your official email IDs or the email ID that you have used to register yourself to fill in the feedback. That's the only way in which you will be able to give your feedback of the session. On that note, I remain yours. Thank you so much for your presence. Dr. Babu, for the closing remarks.
Yeah, so thank you, all of you. Please kindly fill the feedback form for the day. As I told you, every day, end of the session only, we will be giving the feedback. So I request participant to kindly give your feedback. That will be counted as attendance also for the day. Okay. Yeah, and one more thing is, many people have put across the question. Since we are crossed more than 2 or 15 minutes, many people is also started, their network issue and all those things. So we just carry this question and also we'll just keep it for the next resource person when they're covering. They'll always cover this this particular question which you put across. Your questions will be highly considered, though we have not read out here. Okay, we noticed all the questions and we put it in a separate page, and certainly these questions will be addressed by the next resource person, because next other 6 days this topic is obviously they're going to cover. One or other way they will be covering your doubts. So thank you very much for excellent participation. Hope your cooperations will continue in forthcoming days till next Monday. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Joseph, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Babu, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll call up, sir. I'll call up.
Oh, sure.
Dear participants, I understand that some of you are facing an error message on the feedback link. We are looking into it. Give us a couple of minutes. We will get back to you on the same.
What is the problem, madam?
Sir, the feedback link states that the phone numbers that are being entered by the participants is invalid. So we will have to have that checked, sir.
Feedback form is showing invalid.
There is a column for phone number.
No?
There's a column for phone number on the feedback link, and when the participants enter the phone number,
Yeah,
it is
of course,
stating
because
as invalid.
what they registered number they have to enter, because it is linked with the registration what they have done. If they enter the different phone number, it will not be accepting. Both ID, email ID and password is linked with the Google Sheet, with the registration form. They should enter both, it should match. Phone number is not...
So we'll just have it addressed, sir. Give us a couple of minutes.
1 minute, we'll rectify, yeah.
Participants, don't panic. We understand. We are at the mercy of technology. Please understand that we are working with the skeletal staff as well. Give us a few minutes. We will have this sorted. Just give us a few minutes. We are having this sorted.
Phone number is not accepted. 10 digits. 10 digits, they would have put 91. Only the phone number there. Okay, please put only your phone number. Don't put plus 91 something like that. Not accepting. Everybody is telling not accepting. No? Not accepting.
Participants, give us a few minutes. We are having this sorted.
1 minute.
Please have a little bit of patience. We are having this sorted.
There is where you sent that.